Oh, hello. I've been busy, busy, busy this weekend. And I'm just coming on here from my resale shop. I know I talk about my resale shop some. Um, so, since my last video, you saw that as of April, I hit the $10,000 saved mark, which is awesome. Which is awesome. As a matter of fact, it was 10,200 as of last month. Now, I've come on here because I'm excited to share something that does not have to wait till the end of the month. So, I have started my debt snowball, right? That $200 went toward an account where I said I was going to pay it off first, and it was 1,222 and some change, right? Okay, well, what I was able to do since we last talked was I, first off, I was like, why do I want to go take money out of the bank to make a payment against that payoff just to say that I saved it? So I'm thinking, wait a minute, let me come on here, tell you my progress as I'm going for the month because I don't want to hold on to, I'm excited about paying something off, right? So I don't want to hold on to that to the end of the month just to show you what my total was. So I'm going to do it a little bit different because I'm in the debt snowball. All right. Um, I'm excited to say that $1,422 is gone. That bill, bye, Felicia. Here's how I did it. I had money left over from saving the $10,000. Right? Remember, it was 10,200. So I threw 200 at it. Then I had the regular payment come up on it, so I threw that on it. And then I'm trying to think of what else I threw on it. That was two. And then I said I got a raise. So the difference in my paycheck, I threw that on it. That's what I did. Okay, okay, then I sold a utility trailer that I've been thinking about selling and all this and thing. Anyway, I sold that last week. So I took portion of that money from the sale of the utility trailer and I threw that at it. That thing is paid off. Now, what I do have to do, I paid it off a couple of days before the new billing cycle on that credit line. And so I need to go in within the next few weeks or whatever when I think about it, log into it because if you know that when you are messing with creditors and interest rates, that there's interest accruing as the days go by, right? So there's probably going to be some little small balance, $5 or less, or somewhere in that ballpark, that I'm going to need to pay to officially pay it off. So let me teach you something here. If you're dealing with, like I said, any kind of credit line that has an interest rate attached to it, any interest rate other than zero, right? Even though you pay off an amount, like it'll tell you, oh, your balance right now, your payoff balance is this amount. Well, on a bigger note, let's say it was like a car loan or a house or something like that. I think if you got the payoff is done and you pay it by a certain day. But when it comes to daily accrual on an interest rate where it accrues daily, right? Even though you make that payment and it's got a post and all that jazz, you've paid off the balance that you knew of since the last cycle. But anyway, there'll be an interest rate. So affecting it is what I'm saying. So always, when you think you've paid something off, go and check it and make sure that the balance didn't adjust from zero. Because if you just be like, oh well, bye, I'm done with that, and think it's over with, you may find that if you neglect that, interest accrues and they say you didn't make the payment on time. You get the idea. Late fee, you get the idea. Where they're going to tell you over time, if you ignore it, that's what I'm saying, if you ignore it, they would tell you over time that you owe this balance, and you'd be like, what? I paid that off like, so many months ago. So anyway, my recommendation is make sure, even though you've paid something else, you got to watch it. So I've got to go on there, log in, and make sure whatever difference I've got will, okay, you got the idea. So keep that in mind, make that a note as you're paying off with your debt snowball. Now, I had change left, had more money left from the sale of my utility trailer after paying off that account. Okay, so I was excited about that. I mean, the ideal thing would be, right, is to apply that to the next thing that you want to pay off. I've got 5 more things, 3 of them being really big. We'll get to that later. Not on this video, but I'm not there yet. We're not ready to talk about that. But, oh, you would think that the change I have left over, the ideal thing is you'd be like, okay, you got money put back for what you're trying to do, whether it be emergency fund or a combination of emergency and something else. And in my case, remember, mine is, as long as I don't need that money, it is to finish plumbing install on my tiny home to get me fully functional living, in one spot, in one setup. So I'm still working on that. There'll be more information to come on that. Time, it takes time. Okay, so I did not have to touch the $10,000 to pay out anything off, obviously, right? But I did have an emergency come up. You always know it's not, when it's gonna rain, or when we say when it rains it pours. But anyways, we always know it's gonna rain at some point. So hypothetically speaking, it rained. So I was looking at my tires on my truck, and my tire guy, he had told me a few months back. It's been a handful of months that I really needed a new tire on this one particular spot. Well, anyway, as I paused and I was excited, and I thought, oh, I got something paid off and I got change. Let's take a pause and let's figure out what we can do to make sure that I can afford a tire. So I looked at my tires and discovered that the second back one was getting as bad, starting to get as bad as the one he told me I need to replace. It was getting pretty slick. So I had enough change out of my leftover from my paycheck, and then leftover from the sale of the utility trailer this month, okay, that I went down, was it Thursday evening? Today's Saturday. I went Thursday after I got off of my day job, and I drove down there and I asked him, did he have time and did he have 2 brand new tires? He did. He put them on. I paid him $400, and I'm happy to say that I'm good on the road again, and I don't have to worry about my tires. So that's good. That's a big relief. So now that makes me feel even better. So now I'm still in the month, and what I'm doing is I'm fixing to make a regular payment, as I always do, right? Nothing really to speak of here, just still doing my regular thing. So I'm fixing to make a regular payment out of my checking account to the next item on the Snowball. Now, my debt Snowball is now, we got rid of one. That's awesome. We got rid of one. So my next item is $4,000. I'm just going to round it off. $4,600. So I've got a plan in place as long as there's no emergency and money left over, whatever, right? I'm going to pay my minimum and then throw what I can at it. So that's what you'll hear at the end of May, which we're halfway through May already. But any sales I make here at the shop that are my personal sales or commission or whatever, that I've got coming for me myself personally, not the business. Business is a whole nother subject. But whatever I might make there, whatever I might have left in my paycheck, as long as anything didn't have to go to something else. And then of course my regular payment, whatever whatever that totals at the end of the month, I'm gonna go ahead and pay my regular payment, which is $150. But whatever, whatever 100 envelope savings challenge, like I'm still doing that. I'll put the money in it, any kind of cash that I have. But I may start telling you, rather than cash and counting up just the envelope challenge, I may say, and I had X amount left over and it's in the bank. And the reason I want to tell it to you that way, not that the 100 envelope challenge isn't as important, but it's much faster to do your debt snowball when the money's already in the bank and you can make the payment. That's really what I'm saying. So any 100 envelope challenge money I have additional to put on, toward that amount, that payoff, I will go have to take it to the bank. So that'll be more inconvenient, but doable. So that's what I'm saying. Now, I'm going to talk one last thing, because a debt snowball would not be a snowball if you didn't do it like this when you're paying off debt. Okay? Now, I had told you I had 6 debts that I'm working on paying off. One is out of the way, other than I need to check and make sure there's no little, lingering interest tacked on. Okay? Interest amount. But I was paying, on average, $50 a month on that, just playing kissy face with the bank and letting them draw interest every month, and then you owe and your balance don't go down much of that $50 payment because interest is ridiculous and yada yada. Okay, the normal stuff. So on a debt snowball, just because I've taken care of the debt, the number one debt that I started with, right, of 6, does not mean that I'm just like, oh, I'm $50 a month richer. No. What you do is you pay that $50, which I've already paid it against that balance this month, so it doesn't count on my next item yet until next month. I've already made the minimum on something else. But as far as the debt snowball goes, next month in June, I'm going to take $50 minimum payment that I used to pay on something that I paid in full in May against the next balance. So here's what I'm saying. Let's do the math. I'm going to pay $150 on my $4,600 amount that I'm working on next. Okay? I'm also going to pay, when I get in June, I'm going to pay $50 on that $4,600 because it was a minimum amount that I'm used to paying on something else. I always made it work. I didn't get behind on my bills, that sort of thing. This may not work for you. It's working for me because I want to do the debt snowball, and I'm just going to pile it up and pile. But if you're not in a situation, it may be great that you got some out of the way, that you were just struggling, you didn't know how you're going to pay it. So you may not be able to snowball it yet. It's just I'm able to do the snowball traction now as we speak, so that's good. So what I'm saying is, in June, I would pay $50 minimum on this next debt that I'm snowballing, plus the $150 payment that it asks for every month anyway, right? So now my new payment on this number 2 snowball bill is $200 instead of $150. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not just going to stop at the $200. That's what I'm going to pay minimum if I can't do anything else. Okay? That's a debt snowball. I can't predict what the other, I'm going to pay $200, but I can't predict what the extra is going to be, if any, obviously, all that. So that's going to be determined when I get to the end of this month and have totals for you. Those totals, as long as I never have to touch my emergency fund that I put back, which is $10,000, as long as I do not have to touch that, which, by the way, I have not had to touch. See, I got new tires. I didn't have to touch. I didn't buy those things with the money I have put back. So as long as you don't touch that money for anything, sometimes you have to. Like if I would have had a blowout and I didn't have the money, I would have had to touch it, But anyway, I didn't have to touch it. It was awesome. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. So until the end of the month, I'm going to keep on snowballing. And the girls heard something outside. I'm sure it's traffic or whatnot. So that's what they're barking at something. So anyway, again, like I've said before, it's never too late to start if you haven't started already. And we are not in competition. I'm on here to motivate you because it absolutely can be done. See you soon. Take care.